A quiet road, a late night call, and then he was gone. There were no footsteps. There were no goodbyes. Just silence. What really happened to Brandon Swanson? Welcome to Supernatural Signals, where the screen meets the spirits. Tonight, we're veering slightly off the beaten paranormal path to explore a chilling real-life mystery, the disappearance of Brandon Swanson. Though the story isn't overtly supernatural, its unsettling nature and strange circumstances surrounding it have sparked endless questions, some of which touch on the unexplained. We'll walk through the key events of that night, followed by more specific details, then sift through the theories, and finally, I'll share my own thoughts from a supernatural perspective on what might have happened to college student Brandon Swanson. On the night of May 14th, 2008, 19-year-old Brandon Swanson vanished without a trace in the rural stretch between Marshall and Canby, Minnesota. He had just finished celebrating the end of the semester with classmates when he began to drive home. But somewhere along the dark, quiet roads of western Minnesota, he lost control of his car and drove into a ditch. Or at least, that's what he believed. Brandon called his parents just before 2 a.m., asking them to come pick him up. Calm and collected, he described his surroundings and told them that he would walk toward a nearby town while they drove out to find him. They stayed on the phone with him for nearly 47 minutes, guiding each other by landmarks, headlights, and occasional curse words of frustrations. Then, mid-sentence, Brandon cried out, "Oh shit," and then the line went silent. That was the last anyone ever heard from him. A massive search followed. His car was found abandoned in a ditch, but not near the town he described, in a completely different direction, miles away. And there were no signs of a struggle, no scent trail past a certain point, and most haunting of all, no body. This case has sparked countless theories, from misadventure and foul play to more out there ideas involving the paranormal. What makes this case so chilling isn't just his disappearance itself, but how abruptly and unnerving it all happened. Now that we looked at the wider mystery, let's narrow in on some crucial details that might help us understand what really happened that night. Brandon's evening began with small gatherings as college lit out and celebrations unfolded. He attended a house party in Lind, Minnesota, where a few friends had rented a place. Witnesses say he had a couple of drinks but didn't appear drunk or impaired. Later, he drove to another party in Canby to meet a friend, where he reportedly took a single shot. Again, no one reported any signs of heavy intoxication. What's strange is the route he chose afterward. Instead of taking the more direct route using Highway 68 to return home to Marshall, a roughly 30-mile, 35-minute drive, Brandon took a series of back roads instead. Some have speculated that this may have been an attempt to avoid law enforcement and a potential DUI, even though no one thought he was under the influence. It does make me wonder if he was more drunk than his friends let on in order to protect their own selves because they let him drink and drive. Another important factor, Brandon was legally blind in his left eye, and some say his glasses were in the car that night after he left to go investigate. That alone may have affected his ability to navigate, especially along dark rural roads. He told his parents he believed he was near Lind, but geographically, that would have been nearly impossible. He had just left Canby, which was miles from Lind, and in the opposite direction. Keep in mind, there are multiple sources saying different things about his glasses on the internet. So he could have been wearing them after all, but still, it's important to keep his eyesight in mind while he was walking around trying to get a better idea of his surroundings. Now, during the time he was on the phone with his parents, Brandon did things like flashing his car lights so they could locate him. His parents confirmed this because they heard the sounds of him flashing them on and off throughout their phone call. And yet, they still could not locate him. His mother even hung up on the phone briefly out of frustration after failing to spot him. She did call him back quickly, and Brandon continued to describe his surroundings to his dad. And at one point, Brandon told his dad he'd start walking toward a bar called Linwood to meet up. He was now walking through a field, and he could hear rushing water, and said he saw lights in the distance. He believed he was approaching Lind. Then suddenly, like we said before, he cursed out loud and said, "Oh shit," and then there was silence. So let's talk theories, because with a case like this, the silence speaks just as loudly as the details. Theory 1, an accidental fall. Some believe Brandon may have stumbled into a river or creek that night. He mentioned hearing rushing water, and authorities searched extensively around the Yellow Medicine River. But the lack of body, clothing, or any physical evidence make this theory feel thin. Water may take, but it usually gives something back. Theory 2, foul play. Could Brandon have encountered someone out there, a stranger on a dark road, a driver who didn't see him until it was too late? There's no sign of a struggle at the scene, but the abandoned car, doors open, keys gone, leaves plenty of room for speculation. Theory 3, misadventure. He was legally blind in one eye, and some say not wearing his glasses. It was pitch black in a rural area with uneven terrain. He could have fallen in an unmarked well or gotten disoriented and wandered further than anyone searched. But again, no trace. Theory 4, something stranger. Some locals have whispered about high strangeness near the area. Missing time, odd lights, unexplainable disappearances. Is it possible Brandon slipped into a different kind of place that night? Something beyond the usual explanations? In the end, it's the kind of case that leaves more questions than answers. And the eeriest parts? His voice. That calm voice on the phone right before the last words he ever spoke. "Oh shit." And then silence. I'm not sure what happened to Brandon Swanson that night. But the fact that he seemed so certain, so sure about where he was when he actually was miles away, that really sticks with me. It's not just about getting lost. It's the kind of misplacement that feels deeper, like something was off in reality itself. He saw lights, but were they really there? Was Brandon just disoriented, or did he step into something stranger? Something that blurred the line between what's real and what isn't. When cases leave no trace, no clues, and no clear direction, I can't help but wonder, did something supernatural touch this moment? It reminds me of something that happened to me actually back around the start of COVID, just before the lockdowns. I was out for work, and because of the pandemic, the usually packed parking garage I was using for a certain training was strangely empty. Now, I've always been bad with directions. I'm kind of known for getting lost in simple places. But this was different. This parking garage wasn't big, but I could not find the exit. I drove around for what felt like 45 minutes. Every single turn brought me back to a dead end, or to the same spot I started. It was like I was trapped in a loop, like the garage had somehow become a maze. Eventually, I just kept following the arrows marked for people without work badges. And finally, it worked. I found a way out. Here's a clip I actually sent to my friend that day.
Okay, I have a cough. That's not good. Maybe it's a good thing I'm going into quarantine because I just spent an hour trying to get out of a fucking parking garage because all the parking garage exits were for Microsoft employees and they have a badge. So I'm like, where's the exit for the normal people? Ugh. Oh my god, it was the worst. And they're like, keep going here. So I kept going and going and going. And it was like, I was like in Alice in Wonderland where I couldn't get out. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And there's like no one there because like everyone's shut down. It was so creepy. I was like, I'm going to die here. I feel like I'm literally in an apocalyptic movie.
Non-scripted side note, yes, I sounded a bit dramatic, but that was a voice memo I sent to my friend through Facebook Messenger where I detailed her about the day of my life. And I just finished our orientation and then got trapped into a garage and COVID was happening. So I was a little bit stressed. But continuing on. So it might sound silly, but I think sometimes the universe, or maybe something else, can mess with our senses of direction. Like it can bend space just enough to confuse us, simulate a different surrounding, maybe even for a reason that we have no idea. And if it makes me wonder, could something like that have happened to Brandon? Something dark, tricking his senses, distorting the world around him, making him believe he was close to safety, when in truth, he was far from it. It's just a theory, but it's one I can't shake. Alrighty, so what do you think? Do you think this is something that the supernatural was involved? Or do you think it was something true crime natured? Or just a mistake and maybe he fell somewhere? Let me know in the comments below. Give us a subscribe and a like, we really appreciate it. Until next time, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.